Around 12:30 a.m. This morning, we got a first call at the Lawrence Police Department about a gas leak at the intersection of South Broadway and South Broadway and Salem Street at 3 a.m. We got that call. Immediately, the police department and fire department mobilized. When we found out the level of leak it was, level 1 gas leak, we made the decision to evacuate. I say we, but our fire chief, who's the emergency management commander, made the decision to evacuate homes and shut off power and go about trying to find out what the issue was. All the affected area. I'll make sure I get it right. It's Andover Street to Merrimack Street, Sanborn Street to Parker Street. This is not outside of that area, so if you live in South Lawrence and you were previously affected in the last gas leak of a year ago, you are not in the affected area unless you're inside Andover to Merrimack and Sander to Parker Street. It is isolated to this area. The gas, as of right now, is shut off in that area, as well as the power. The affected area has not grown, and I'll let Columbia Gas talk about how many meters we're talking about. Lawrence Public Schools are open. Lawrence Public Schools are open, except for the Weatherby School, which is in the affected area, and the Lawrence Catholic Academy, which is also in the affected area. If you work in that area, please check with your employer about whether or not you're open. The evacuation continues. We have a shelter up in the Arlington School in North Lawrence. MVRTA has been busing people all day. People should leave the area. Like I said, the gas is off and the power is off, but we don't know where it's emanating from, where the leak started. We know where it was coming out in the manhole at that intersection, but we don't know as of yet the cause. I'm gonna let the fire chief talk a little bit more about some stuff and the police chief, and then we'll hear from Columbia Gas. Chief Moriarty. What did you tell me? Just give them an update what you know about stuff.
All right. Approximately 3:15 this morning, we had a high pressure gas main leak. The gas was traveling the sewers. We had explosive range gas in a number of different areas in the Salem and South Broadway area. The deputy immediately started striking multiple alarms to get mutual aid in here. We started emergency evacuation of all the residents and buildings in the area. We have set up a shelter at the Arlington Street School. We've evacuated approximately 100 to 110 people are at the school. We use Merrimack Valley Regional Transit Authority. They came with buses and moved people. We are currently have the gas off. We are in the process now. Columbia Gas is trying to identify where the leak came from, as well as we're going out with teams of Columbia Gas and firefighters. We're shutting off all the meters to the residents' structures that were involved. We're checking the facility to make sure there's no gas inside the facility. At the present time, we've had no fires, no explosions. We're able to shut it off, isolate it, ventilate it before anything tragic happened.
Just an update, we do have about 100, 110 people at the shelter at the Arlington School. Please give those folks some time and space because they're over there with their families, and I'm not sure they want to talk to the press, but just want you to know that we have a lot of people are at the shelter. He's going to give you an update from Mark Kempic from Columbia Gas. Give us an update on Columbia Gas.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief. Mark Kempic, President of Columbia Gas of Massachusetts. The fire department did notify us at approximately 3:12 this morning. We were on site at 3:29 this morning to determine the location of the gas leak. We are currently working in the area of Salem and Broadway, where we believe South Broadway, where we believe the leak had occurred. We have isolated the area. As of 5:08 this morning, all the gas to this area was isolated and it was shut off. So we have eliminated any immediate concern. We are now going to start going door to door. We're establishing a perimeter to make sure that no gas has gotten into any structure. So we will be getting into every single home in the area to make sure that there's no gas that has migrated into the structure. We are taking this seriously. We are bringing in crews from across Massachusetts to help out with this situation. We are suspending our other normally scheduled work today to focus on this. However, we have determined that this is an isolated situation based upon the leak that we believe is emanating from South Broadway and Salem. As the mayor said, there is a shelter set up by the Red Cross. We're working in partnership with the Red Cross, with the City of Lawrence, with the fire department, and with the police to make sure that customers have a place to go during this time period.
Mark, what sort of work was Columbia Gas doing in that area yesterday?
We were not doing work in that area yesterday.
Anytime recently, sir?
So, just so I want to just make sure we're clear about stuff. It is not outside the area that we just talked about, and folks need to know that. But if you are in that area, you should get out of your house. You shouldn't be in your house again, because they're gonna go house to house with fire. Columbia Gas with the fire department are gonna go house to house to make sure that there's no gas into people's homes. It is a high pressure line, so the gas leak was coming out pretty strong. So we're gonna make sure that it didn't migrate to different places, and so we're trying to get to the reason why this happened. We're not there yet, and DPW and water, we have been doing a lot of work along with Columbia Gas. We've been doing a lot of work around the area, but we have not come yet to a conclusion on what caused this. All we're doing right now is making sure that everyone in that area is safe and that they know they shouldn't be there. Make sure that they don't try to get in there, and let the work of the Columbia Gas staff along with the fire department to get to the bottom of this.
If they weren't working in there yesterday, when was the last time you were there? Do you have a map of the area readily available for the firefighters? And can you also say, are there any of those abandoned lines that you had discussion about less than a week ago? Any trapped gas that residents should know about and be worried about?
As the mayor said, we are still looking to determine the cause of the situation. We are excavating at that intersection that we previously mentioned. We have provided maps to the fire department showing the location of the area, showing the location of the critical valves that we shut off to isolate this area.
When was the last time you worked there?
I don't have that record, that information with me right now.
Mark, is this a new line that was put in for the explosion last year, or is this an old line that was still?
This is a new line that was installed last year.
So just so people are clear, a new line malfunctioned or something happened in the middle of the night?
We don't know yet. We really don't. We don't know yet. We do know that there was a gas leak. That's all we know at this point. We have cause investigators that are on their way to the scene to work with the city, to work with us to determine what the actual cause of the leak was.
And it's too important. It's too important to speculate. We just want to make sure we're not going to speculate.
Any idea of how many people have actually been evacuated so far?
We don't know that number. The mayor said that I believe the most recent number that are at the school is 110 at the school, but we don't know how many have been evacuated.
What time did you all get this notification?
At 3 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
We all kind of got it.
Yes.
What's the time frame for getting house to house and finishing that sweep to make sure that the
As
gas
long as
is
it
out of
takes.
structure?
As long as it takes, our first interest is safety. Obviously, we do have to get into each house to make sure no gas is migrated into any of the homes. We will clear each of those homes. We will then shut the gas supply off to that home, test all of the lines, determine if and any repairs need to be made and repair those lines. And then after that, we will begin to restore service to customers.
Realistically, can people get in their homes tonight, though? 'Cause
As long as it
that's really-
takes, we'll let people know when they can get back
We
into
will
their
keep
homes.
the media updated so that people understand when they can get into their homes. But right now, our interest is safety.
And just on that note, hold on before you ask that. Just on that note, if folks who are leaving their homes, they got medication, they should let people know that at the shelter, that they need to get back into the house to get a medication or something for a kid. They just need to tell that folks that come to the shelter and we'll figure out a way to get them into their place. People should not just be walking back into their houses. Again, we don't know if there's gas in the houses, is why we shut down the electricity. Go ahead.
Any idea of possible injuries from this gas leak or related to the response?
I know the chief has something.
I have no report.
We have no direct injuries that we're aware of. We did a number of evacuations. There are many people, I think we had 5 that were non-ambulatory. We used ambulances to evacuate them. We did have one person in the affected area suffer a heart attack, was treated, transported to Lawrence General, possibly a heart attack.
But is that related to this gas leak?
I have no idea.
So one person in the affected
One person
area
in the affected area was transported to the hospital.
Chief,
because of a heart attack.
Chief, what's a level 1 gas leak?
It has to be repaired within 24 hours. When they find a grade 1 gas leak, they need to immediately set up a crew and repair it. I think this is above a grade 1 leak. Grade 1 leaks we usually they find with the trucks driving around, somebody calls in for a small odor. This, we had a high pressure leak somehow. It was coming up heavily. The police officer in the street found it. So it would be probably classified as a grade 1, but it's far more serious.